Why are inverse operations important for solving literal equations? Imagine trying to find a hidden treasure, but the map is all tangled up with clues that hide the location. To find the treasure, you need to untangle the clues step by step. That is exactly what inverse operations do when solving literal equations. They help you undo the steps that hide the variable you want to find. A literal equation is like a puzzle with two or more variables. Solving it means rewriting the equation so one variable is alone on one side. To do this, you need to reverse the operations that are applied to that variable. For example, if the variable is added to a number, you subtract that number from both sides. If it is multiplied by a number, you divide both sides by that number. These steps are all about reversing what was originally done. Inverse operations are pairs of actions that cancel each other out. Addition and subtraction are opposites. If you add a number and then subtract the same number, you end up where you started. The same goes for multiplication and division. If you multiply by a number and then divide by that same number, you return to the original value. Exponents and roots are also inverse pairs. Taking a square root undoes squaring, and vice versa. Using inverse operations makes solving literal equations easier because it keeps the process clear and organized. When you want to isolate a variable, you perform the inverse operation to remove other terms. For example, if a variable is multiplied by 3, you divide both sides of the equation by 3 to undo that multiplication. If a variable has a number added to it, you subtract that number from both sides. This step-by-step process keeps the equation balanced while you work to find the variable. This approach is especially useful in linear relationships and linear equations. These types of equations often involve adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing variables. By applying inverse operations in the reverse order of how the original equation was written, you can solve for any variable. This skill is important in many real-world situations, like calculating distances, speeds, or costs. For example, if you have a formula for the volume of a cylinder, which is the area of the base times the height, and you want to find the radius, you need to divide both sides by the height and by pi. Then, to solve for the radius, you take the square root because the radius is squared in the formula. Without using inverse operations, it would be very hard to rearrange the formula correctly. In short, inverse operations are like tools that help you undo the actions on a variable. They make solving literal equations clear and logical. When you understand how to reverse operations, you can handle more complex problems with confidence. This method helps you see the steps needed to find the value of any variable in an equation, making algebra much easier to understand and use.